South Africa is in the process of developing a new international policy that will replace the 1999 White Paper on International Migration. The current international migration policy is outdated, and it does not enable South Africa to adequately embrace global opportunities while safeguarding our sovereignty and ensuring public safety and national security. The Green Paper has been published in the Government Gazette for public comment and makes proposals in the management of the following 7 policy areas: admissions and departures, residency and naturalization, international migrants with critical skills and capital, ties with South African expatriates, international migration in the African context, asylum seekers and refugees, and integration process for international migrants. Members of the public and organizations are invited to submit any comments by visiting www.dha.gov.za. The inputs from the public will inform the drafting of a new policy in the form of a white paper and new legislation by 2018. We invite you, citizens of South Africa, to help us so that we can come up with an inclusive policy that benefits all who wish to contribute to South Africa in a positive way.
The current white paper has become outdated. The present framework did not view migration in terms of the important economic role it can play in developing our country and contributing towards our economic growth. It also did not deal at all with the reality that South Africa is an African country in Africa, and therefore our international migration policy framework needs to be Afrocentric and focus on the continent first and foremost to reinforce our international relations and cooperation policy.
South Africa receives a high number of foreign nationals from all over the world, the top 5 countries being Lesotho, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Swaziland, and Botswana. Let us take a closer look at the key areas of concern with regard to international migration. The rate at which the global economy is being driven by scientific and technological change is accelerating. At the same time, climate change and other global threats are impacting on all countries. This requires a system that manages international migration to maximize its benefits and minimize its risks.
As we speak today, there are more than 40,000 African health professionals in the United States, in Europe, in Australia, and other parts of the world. These are skills which we need, which could come to South Africa because we are a stronger economy. We've got the capability to compete with other nations in the world in terms of compensation for skilled labor. We have made it easy for people with critical skills to be able to apply for critical skills visas in South Africa and start seeking work even prior to them obtaining employment.
In the course of my interaction, I've interacted with cement industries, with building industries, and I find people are hungry for development. People want to grow, people want to know, people want things to move. There is hunger for development in South Africa. That's what I've seen. Yeah.
International migrants are already involved in national projects that are impacting positively on the lives of South Africans, such as the construction of the Eskom power plants of Medupi and Kusile and the Gautrain. Doctors from Cuba and many other countries play a significant role in our health system. The SKA in the Northern Cape is one of the largest scientific projects ever undertaken and is creating jobs for South Africans. South Africa has become a platform for investment into Africa. South African companies are also increasingly expanding their businesses into the rest of Africa and beyond. We have become a global player in certain areas of the sciences and arts. We need to be able to attract viable contributors to our growing economy whilst deterring the criminal element. Managing immigration securely and effectively requires the close cooperation of many government departments. Highly sophisticated syndicates and other criminal elements infiltrate our economy and can cost the country far more than investment in effective immigration systems. Home Affairs is building a national identification system which includes the biometric system and effective registration of births, marriages and deaths of all persons within our borders. This will help to bolster our security and ensure we know why somebody is in our country and where they are.
South Africa has been safe and secure in spite of large numbers of people visiting South Africa, whether as documented immigrants or undocumented immigrants. We've largely maintained the peace and stability of our country. We need to continue to do that. And that is why when we look at what are the interests of the country in how we manage international migration, we need to put both economic and security interests on par so that we ensure that none of them can trump another.
Serious conflicts in many parts of the world are displacing millions of people. It is in the interest of South Africans to live in a peaceful world. This includes offering protection to those who need protection from conflicts and persecution until conditions allow them to return to their countries. Our freedom was won with the help of many, and we wish to always remain receptive to those in need. Once given refugee status, we must welcome them into our communities where many of them can offer valuable skills.
Our first focus when we look abroad is the African continent. Africa has played an important role in South Africa's liberation and has played an important role and will continue to play that role even in terms of the migration of both skilled and unskilled persons to South Africa. We therefore need to focus on the African continent to view anew the role we want to play in developing the continent and how we want to harness the strength and capabilities of the continent to contribute to South Africa.
A much larger number of persons come to South Africa looking for work. Many claim asylum, although they are fleeing from poverty and not persecution. Under international convention we have signed, these persons cannot be granted refugee status. Thus, most of them cannot legally remain in South Africa and can be deported. This is a complicated situation which requires policy responses that are based on human rights, security imperatives, and developmental goals. We need to change the legislation so that it is in line with our current thinking that all men and women from anywhere in the world are welcome on our shores. You, the ordinary citizen, can help us come up with an inclusive policy that benefits all who wish to contribute to South Africa in a positive way. Colonial and apartheid governments used international migration for racial dominance, to exploit labor and to suppress freedom. As a result of our history, our sense of nationhood and social cohesion is quite weak. Our people are deeply fractured by race, place, class and language. We have a shared history, but little shared sense of belonging. The frequent xenophobic attacks in our country are representative of this.
We seek as a country, in terms of our international relations policy, to live in peace and harmony with our neighbors, to contribute towards their independence, sovereignty, national self-determination, economic development, as well as security. But at the same time, we must be dead against xenophobia in any form.
By integrating all these suggestions and solutions, and guided by an all-encompassing sense of humanity, we hope to build our beautiful country into a formidable force. We wish to grow and actively strengthen international efforts to implement good practice and the principles of shared and collective responsibility and cooperation. We pledge our commitment to the values of humanism and internationalism through our struggle for human worth and dignity. We wish to overcome the legacy of colonialism and build a prosperous, peaceful, and united South Africa for all its citizens. International Migration for Development. Play your part. Visit www.dha.gov.za for more information.